Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Bottger, and welcome back to another episode of Chris Bottger's Album Club. Now, if you've watched our previous episodes, you know every episode we have two albums that are picked randomly from a list of submissions by all of us. All anonymous, of course, by Will reveal who picked them at the end. And we listen to albums, we kind of give our initial impressions on the beginning, and then we listen to albums and we come back and give our final thoughts on them, and then we kind of do sort of a pairing matchup thing where we say which album we like better. So today with me, as usual, I have Ben,
Philosophy.
Matthew,
All apologies.
and Santiago.
Hello. Hi.
Alright, well, we're gonna jump right to it. Today, right now, I'm going to reveal the two albums in this pairing. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Prepare yourself, Matthew. Prepare yourself.
Okay.
Alright,
I don't know why you're talking to me specifically.
here are the two albums. I kind of suspect this one might be a controversial pairing. Maybe not amongst us, but amongst the viewers. Here are the albums. Abbey Road by the Beatles. And Folklore by Taylor Swift.
Oh my god!
I won't do this shit,
Holy
bro.
fuck!
Boy.
Holy fuck!
Oh,
Both of these
Alex,
albums.
honestly. Why?
I can't
Why?
handle both of these albums.
It's what's random number generator spat out. I don't pick the pairings, the RNG does. People submitted these two albums, and
I won't do
and
this.
the RNG pitted them against each other. You know, we could have gotten something like, Folklore against Kiss, and like Folklore would have won easily. But here we have Folklore versus Abbey Road. So, here we go. Initial impressions, Ben. We're starting with you.
I have heard both of these albums before. I feel like I've only listened to Folklore all the way through once, though. I've listened to like the opening 4 tracks of it, though, more than that. It's a pretty good album. I've also had this big pitted against my favorite album of all time, so, yeah, I mean, I think that, like, Folklore is a good album, though I do need to re-listen to, like, it. I will re-listen to Abbey Road, but, like, I kind of don't have to. I basically have it memorized.
Hey,
Um,
never a bad time to re-listen to Abbey Road, Ben.
Yeah, not. I mean, it's. I don't know. I'll do it while working on this stuff today. But like, man, I don't know. One of these albums is Abbey Road. Uh, that's my thoughts. Like, I'm not gonna be. My mind is not really open to change on this one. Maybe it should be. I don't know,
Ben
but it's
is a
not.
closed-minded individual. Confirmed?
I try to be open-minded, but sometimes I'm not. I only have fixed. My opinion of Folklore is still very some. Like maybe I'll find that there's like tracks like beyond, you know, what's the name of that song? It's sort of Bon Ivo. That's like the last song on there I remember. Well, I'm blanking out his name though. I can remember a bunch of his lyrics though. It's after that one on Folklore. Yeah, my opinions will probably still in flux because I don't remember the songs all that. In terms of Abbey Road, yeah, my opinion is pretty well developed. There might be a little bit of flux. Maybe I'll be like, well, actually, because it's a little bit worse than I remember it or whatever. But like, it's not gonna be much.
Well, respectfully, I feel like that's a blasphemous take to say that somehow Abbey Road is worse upon re-listen.
It's almost certainly not going to be though, because I've re-listened to it like a bazillion times.
All right, Matthew. What are your first impressions on this pairing?
Both of these albums are favorites of each. Abbey Road is my favorite Beatles album, and Folklore is my favorite Taylor Swift album. And I'm really looking forward to re-listening to them.
All right, well, Santiago, what are your initial impressions?
Uh, never listened a Taylor Swift album before, so yeah, guess I'm looking forward listening finally a Taylor Swift album. I heard a lot about folklore, but of course, never pay attention to it. Neither I bothered to listen to it. So I have no clue about it. Mm, well, as for Abbey Road, well, I know this album like I know my brother, so basically.
Whoa.
So this album, like I could tell you right away without even listening to it what what I think about it. So well, but I will listen anyway. I will listen to the album again just because I love it so much. So yeah,
I must
Never a
I
bad
must
time.
I must ask Ben, do you know Abbey? I think Santiago gave like a great claim that he knows Abbey Road like he knows his brother. Do you know Abbey Road as much as you know Chris, Ben?
In some ways, maybe I know it more. In some ways, I
Wow.
don't know.
Whoa.
I mean, obviously, I've known Christopher a lot longer than I've known. I mean, I probably knew Octopus is Golden about as long as I've known Chris. I've probably known like Come Together about as long as I've known Chris. Um, the rest of it, no, I have known Christopher longer. But like,
Okay.
uh, in a sense, it is less mysterious than Chris.
What?
I am gonna give you flack, Ben. See, you never give me your money, even though you claim to be a true Chris/Abbey Road enjoyer.
You never gave money. All right, you, Chris.
Yeah, it's my turn. I'm of course well familiar with Abbey Road. I have listened to Abbey Road a gazillion different times. This is another one I have on vinyl records, so I will be listening to there for this episode, and not just through streaming. Um, as for Folklore, I've not listened to this album. I think the only Taylor Swift album I've listened to all the way through is like 1989, I think it was. But I don't.
I wonder if we're gonna hear that album one of these days.
Maybe might be a while though. Um, but I know I wouldn't say I'm super familiar with Taylor Swift's music as much, other than just some like the big hits. You hear. I will say something I do want to say about that is she does have a lot of albums. It's kind of hard to, I guess, have the time to sit down and catch up on all that. Um, I will say I actually think that's a good thing. She seems to be one of the few modern artists who actually does put out albums at a decent way. So I respect it. I want to say I think that's actually a good thing, and more people should be like her on that front. More musicians. But yeah, I'm going into this one with open eyes, open ears, open whatever, and I'll see how I feel about it. I don't think I'm going to like it as much as Abbey Road, though. Just knowing sort of my own taste in music. I'm a big classic rock guy. I literally won a the Rock Roundtable podcast, so I'm obviously a big classic rock guy. But I am looking forward to listening to this one as well, regardless of whether or not I pick it or Abbey Road. I mean, Swan and Lane.
Or you just go for a party.
Folklore is probably like the most classic rock friendly Taylor Swift I've heard.
Maybe
So
I
to
will
speak.
vote for Fjord Party. Maybe I'll vote for What's Going On by Morphin Gay.
Another album we could potentially hear.
Maybe one of these days we will. Who knows?
Yeah.
Tomorrow never knows.
I mean, maybe it will be tomorrow. I don't know.
Maybe it will be tomorrow. Alright, guys, we're gonna go listen to these albums now. We'll be right back with our thoughts on them after listening. Alright, we've gone and listened to albums, and now we're back to give our thoughts on them. We're gonna start with Ben, as always, and the first album was Abbey Road by the Beatles. Ben, how did you feel about this album?
This is already my favorite album. Basically, all the songs on it are good. The Maxwell is the weakest. The
Because...
Because it's also relatively
It's
weak,
a
I guess.
bangle. It's a bangle.
Because it's still good. Oh, yeah, a great song, I would say. But there are several masterpieces on this. Like Here Comes the Sun and Octopus's Garden come together, and perhaps even Something. Wow. And I Want You, She's So Heavy. I say that all those are masterpiece songs. So that's like on the long run, which is the Abbey Road mid thing. So in a sense, that's like almost all of the album now. Um, I say that my favorite song on here is "Here Comes the Sun," though. That's like one of the top tier Beatles songs. Like very, very top tier. Maybe like top five.
All right, Matthew.
This is the best Beatles album for a reason. It is my favorite Beatles album for a reason, and it's a masterpiece. What can I say? The only weak parts I would say is Maxwell Silver Hammer. I think it's the weakest song of the album, and I felt like it's weirdly um, fitted after like two, magnum opus songs have come together and something, and then there's just this weird Paul song, which they honestly could have just done "Oh Darling" after, you know, something and come together, or even like Octopus's Garden, which is my favorite. Well, that's a lie. That's not my favorite Ringo song. That's "A Little Help with My Friends." Is a way better song than Maxwell Silver Hammer.
Okay,
It just
but Octopus's Golden is the best song actually written by Ringo. To be clear.
yeah, uh, that is true. My favorite is "A Little Help for My Friends," but this album is um, it's a masterpiece. I think the tracks that are like iconic, like "Come Together." My favorite song of the album, "Something," which I think is the best. Well, it isn't the best George song because, um, well, "My Guitar Gently Weeps" is there, but it's probably the second best George song. Excuse me. And then like she, "I Want You So Bad," "She's So Heavy," "Octopus's Garden" is a banger. Um, it's a fantastic song. And then "Here Comes the Sun," which is the third best George song. And then like that melody, which like outside of like a couple weak parts, like I think kind of the end is a weak ending compared to "Carry That Weight," which feels more like a better final track of an album. And but yeah, this is a masterpiece. And also it should be noted that my theory is that Paul wanted to marry Queen Elizabeth II.
Whoa. All right, Santiago. What are your thoughts on this album?
I love it. It's a masterpiece. It's great. There's no bad song in this album. There's not a weak song in this album. Every song is solid. Like song after song, it's just amazing. It's a whole journey throughout the album. It's like hell yeah, man. You know what I mean? Like the beginning come together. It's just the best intro song. I would say like it begins so great. Then something, the greatest love song I would say in history. Like George Harrison shine in this album. It was his moment with something. Here Comes the Sun. Like those two bangers. Like George Harrison was just slaying it. I really love how the first side, like A side of this album ends with "I Want You, She's So Heavy." That's also a banger. Sorry. Oh my God, sorry. Okay, so this is also a banger. "I Want You, She's So Heavy," and I love how it ends. Like it just cuts there. Like there's not even like an end to the song. Like I really like how John Lennon just said like, "Hey, cut the tape there, finish it there." Uh, Also, I gotta mention Ringo also shining this album with Octopus's Garden. Like he just did a great job. Like Ringo just did amazing here. Like every member of the band was outstanding. It I was saying. uh, I like the contrast of how I Want You She's So Heavy that it's like a very strong song. Like I don't know how to say it. Like has a lot of energy. Uh, all the instrumentation is great. The vibes, the energy of the song, and then following by Here Comes the Song. It's as if there's like the storm before the calmness. Like the fact that I Want You is before Here Comes the Song. It's like there's the storm first, and then they give the listener like a break or something. Like, okay, now here comes the song, literally. So there's this chill song after the strong. I don't know how to say it. This strong song. So yeah, I really like that pacing there between A1, like the first side of the album and then the second side. Uh, I also love Because. That's a great song. It's really love that it takes inspiration from, I think it was Beethoven's song. So yeah, it's like a reverse song of Moonlight Sonata. I think it was by Beethoven. Someone correct me there if you know in the comments or whatever. Uh, so yeah, it's a great tribute by John Lennon there. Love the lyrics. Then the greatest, I will say, the greatest medley of all time. You never give me your money and all these following songs. There's not a bad song here. Not a bad song. Like Song King, even if the lyrics are pointless, it's a banger. It's a banger. And then all the following, my personal favorite is Mean Mrs. Mustard. She came through the bathroom window. Those are my personal favorites. I love how Paul sings Golden Slumbers. His vocals there are just phenomenal. It's probably like one of the greatest, best moments of Paul in the Beatles singing Golden Slumbers. Uh, so yeah, it's great. I love how they they end this album with the end. I love how everyone just comes and play their part, each one of the members in the end. It's just amazing. Love the drum solo by Ringo, even though he wasn't a fan of doing that kind of stuff. Did a great job there. Um, and yeah, like the way they gave a last message, final message in the end. Something like between those lines, the love you take is equal to the love you make. It's just beautiful. A great way to end this era of the Beatles, as is basically their last album, basically. And then the hiding track for Her Majesty, of course, is a nice touch to end this whole album. So yeah, overall, I love this album. It's Chef Kiss, Abbey Road, iconic cover as well. It will go down in history forever as one of the greatest albums of all time.
Alright, well, now for my thoughts. Of course, as I said at the beginning of this video, I'm already well familiar with it. I like this album. I'm personally more of a Revolver fan myself, but I think this is my second favorite Beatles album.
Ooh.
Revolver was based.
I won't disagree. Revolver is my second favorite Beatles album,
Abbey Road's
but
my
Abbey
second
Road has
favorite.
the but Abbey Road
It's
has
also
the
like a
really
10 album. These are both 10 albums. I like
yeah
it better.
yeah they are. I think both of them are like 10 out of 10 albums.
Yeah, like not
Oh,
9.9 or anything. The book 10 out
No,
of 10.
that's no 9.9 is a rubber soul basically.
9.9 round.
That
Anyway, so.
I
yeah,
don't know.
but
Live real
continue.
life, you know, but like
That's why it keeps it from the 10.
Anyways,
But
what I
Chris,
was gonna say was, yeah,
that's
this album is
like
great. It's got a bunch of
oh,
great tracks. It's got, it's just a new flawless track listing. I mean, it probably is a flawless track listing. I mean, Maxwell Silverhammer was a little out of place, yeah, but I still like that song. Morphin Matthews only. Something
I
is a
like the
little
song, but
overrated. Something is a little overrated, but it's still a really good song. Then you've got a lot of other great ones. You got Come Together, that's very distinctive, great song. We've got Oh Darling, that's a great one. Octopus is Golden, that's goated. I Want You, She's So Heavy, that's kind of a weird, kind of fruity, kind of heavy track. You've got Here Comes the Sun, that's a great one, and that's probably the best one on the album. Give or take Octopus is Golden. You've got, of course, Because, that's another really good one. Kind of underrated in a way. And of course, you've got the medley, which has lots of great little bits here. They all kind of strung together. I will say, I always think that Sun King from the medley is a little bit weak. Never really cared much for Sun King, but most of it's great. Even the end, which somebody else I think said they didn't like, but I do. With the like guitar solos and kind of very very
it
nice.
feels
It's epic.
it feels more it feels more Sergeant Pepper than Abbey Road, if I can say that.
Hmm. Well,
I wonder if we're gonna do that album.
all right. Well, anyways, that's my thoughts. Anyone have anything else to say about this album?
I do not appreciate Chris's slander against me about my feelings on Maxwell Silverhammer. I think it's a fine song, but in an album like this, it's placed weirdly. I think it probably could have been in the medley, or just switch it to Oh Darling. But I still like the song. It's like definitely like my least favorite. Um, but if I had the choice of like listening to that or like Run for Your Life, I'm still gonna listen to Maxwell. But yeah, it's still a 10 out of 10 album. Like even the tracks that I didn't really care for, like I think Maxwell, I think the Sun King, I think the end is, kind of we like. It's like oh right, it still doesn't take away that this is a 10 out of 10 album.
Why? Well, true, I guess. All right. Well, that's it for Abbey Road. The next album was, of course, Folklore by Taylor Swift. And once again, back to the top. We're back to you, Ben. What are your thoughts on this album?
I think that this is a pretty good. I like this album. I like this album. Please do not mortal me. Thank you. Don't mortal me. I beg of you, don't mortal me. Please don't mortal me. Anyway, no, this is this is the best Taylor Swift I've heard, honestly. Um, this is not my first time listening to this album, as I said earlier, but like, it is really good. I think that there's no song on it that I dislike. I like best the tracks, The Last Great American Dynasty and Exile. I think those are my favorite tracks on here. Even though the part in Exile where they go, um, um, you're not my homeland anymore. So what am I defending now? It's pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous. I'm trying to think what else is down. Um, yeah, I think those are my favorite songs on here. Those pieces of the lyrics are kind of clunky, but in general, it's a good album. Uh, yeah, that's basically all I have to say.
All right, Matthew.
I really like this album. I would consider this the best um, Taylor Swift album. It's also my favorite Taylor Swift album. It was the Taylor Swift album that got me into Taylor Swift because I was like kind of anti Taylor Swift. Um, but when I listened to this album, I just like really liked the feeling. It's a very calming album. It's either like in the spring or in the fall where you're sitting in your porch and you're just having the wind blew through and you're just being calm and stuff. Um, I think every single track, or like either every single or most of the album is really good, like um, very pleasant on the ears. Favorites are like Cardigan, Exile, Mirror Ball, August, Invisible String, Epiphany, Hoax, Peace, all that. Yeah, but this is just a really good album, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right, Santiago, what were your thoughts on this album?
Sorry, Swifties, but I found this album too boring. At first, I was very excited to listen to Taylor Swift for the first time, finally, like because if someone just don't ask me and if I don't have that the task to listen to it, I never do it. Okay, I never listen to an album. So I was actually like, okay, I'm optimistic. I'm excited to finally listen to Taylor. Let's see what's the deal with this artist, why everyone loves Taylor. Maybe this is great. Maybe I'm meeting some good stuff here. When I listened to it, it was just too boring. Like there wasn't any song that stood out to me. It was as if every song was like the same somehow. I don't know how to say it, but I don't know. Every song felt the same. There was nothing that caught my attention here. So the only thing I can tell you that it was too boring and too long. That was just too long for what, you know? So yeah, I really don't have even the optimism to listen to other albums by Taylor Swift. Maybe there are probably other albums that I probably would like more than Folklore, but honestly, like if Matthew said that this is the best album by her, then no thanks. I won't listen to other stuff if that's the case, you know. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Oh,
well, that I also forgot to mention that Ben said that. Yeah, there are different styles apparently of what I heard from fans that she has different styles. So it's only a matter of I gotta give a chance to other albums, but honestly, I just don't feel motivated to listen more about Taylor Swift. So yeah.
all right. Now it's time for my thoughts. Um, so I was listening to this album, as I said. I hadn't heard of this album before. I'm not a big modern sort of pop music listener. Me and Santiago are very much alike in that respect. I certainly liked this album better than he did. I actually thought this album was pretty good. I will say, I think it's kind of got a vibe throughout, kind of a soothing vibe, even if the songs themselves are mostly about breakups and kind of sad, although there are a few that aren't. Which, Matthew said something kind of similar to this. I mentioned this would be a good album to listen to if you were, like, sick or, like, not feeling well or something, if you need something kind of, like, calming to listen to. Um, this album, some of the songs are weaker than others. Some of them are better or worse, in my opinion. Matthew said he thought it was like all of them were really good. Santiago said that he thought none of them stood out. I'm kind of in the middle. I thought some of them did stand out. Some of them were better than others, but I do think the better ones do generally work well with the less good ones, and in the album format are able to sort of, because that's part of really what being a good album does. The stronger songs were able to sort of hold up and work well with the weaker songs in conjunction with each other. So, some of the songs that wouldn't necessarily be great on their own do work well as part of the album format. I would say that this is pretty consistent in terms of tone and style, and that I think does apply here, that the weaker songs do work well within the confines of the album. As for the standouts, I thought the three best tracks were The Last Great American Dynasty, August, and Millball in that order. I think with The Last Great American Dynasty being 1, August being 2, and Millball being 3. Both the songs I all found generally pretty decent. Some of them were a little cliche. Mostly Exile, I think, was the kind of big offender there. But even it's not a bad song. And as I said, these songs do, I think, work pretty well together. It's not like I was listening to this and I was like, why on earth are these songs sitting next to each other? Like, it makes sense as a track listing. It makes sense as a package together, I think. So I do think it works well as an album in an album format, which I think certainly helps it. But yeah, no, I thought this album was pretty good. There was some songs here I liked. There was some that I think even like the worst song of this album, I'd say is still like pretty good, and like, well, that's more than I can say for quite a few of the albums we've listened to on the album club.
So what you're saying is you would rather listen to a folklore song than anything on Destroyer.
I would rather listen to any song on this album than probably a couple of the albums we've listened to.
Okay,
Already.
I would say I would listen to this more than most, if all, songs on the Sex Pistols album.
Fail.
Yeah,
Agreed. Honestly,
it's also way more. It's honestly way more pleasant to listen to. You don't feel like, oh my god, she's like appropriating punk culture or something.
She also doesn't seem to like hate women like the Sex Pistols kind of seem to.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably because she is one.
Yeah, maybe.
What else was I gonna say? Obviously, as I said, I'm not a huge pop like modern pop expert, so I don't have like a huge amount of like a yardstick to measure this up to with that. The only really other album I guess I really am super familiar with that I could measure this up against is Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen, which we did here on a previous episode, although Santiago was on break that one. But me and Ben and Matthew listened to that one. I certainly like this way better than that. That album. Well, I guess you should go watch that video where we talked about that one, but if you had watched that video, you would know that I didn't really care for that one. I certainly think this is probably a whole world ahead in terms of quality. I think this is significantly better by a pretty huge stretch. It's only the vocals that I think are better here. So yeah, I mean, I thought this was a pretty good album, and I'm maybe kind of rambling a little bit here, but yeah, no, I genuinely enjoyed this one.
Do you want to go to The Inevitable?
Alright. Alright, now that we've discussed our thoughts on both albums, we're gonna say which album we liked better. Ben, which album did you like better?
Abbey Road.
Alright, Matthew, which album did you like better?
Abbey Road. I really like Taylor Swift. I guess I consider myself a Swiftie, but Abbey Road is Abbey Road. That's all I gotta say.
Santiago, which album did you like better?
Take a guess.
I'm guessing it's
Destroyer by Kiss.
Destroyer by Kiss. No, seriously, I'm assuming it was Abbey Road, right?
Of course, man. Of course.
And as for me, I'm voting Abbey Road. It's my second favorite Beatles album. It's one of the greatest albums of all time, and it's an album I listen to very frequently. As I said, I don't listen to modern pop very frequently. I did think Folklore Hill was a good album. I mean, it's probably in the top half of albums we've listened to. I mean, it's almost definitely in the top half of albums we've done on this club so far. But it's not I mean, let's face it, we've listened to some kind of bad albums at times on here. Um, not this episode though. So yeah, I'm going with Abbey Road though. Just it's more my style. It's kind of more of my vibe, you know. Great album, one of the greatest of all time, from one of the greatest periods, perhaps the greatest year in music of all time. So yeah, Abbey Road.
This is basically like having Barbie go against like the Godfather. So like, uh, so like
I've not seen either movie.
what? You have never seen the Godfather?
I've seen a little tiny bit of Barbie when my mother was watching it, so I guess I've seen more of it than The Godfather,
Okay.
but I haven't really seen either movie.
Okay. Let's get to the fun. Let's get to the fun part.
Okay, we're going to now reveal who picked which album. Does anyone want to take a guess as to who picked which album?
I bet Matthew picked the Taylor Swift, and I bet Matthew also picked Abbey Road.
Anyone else want to guess? Santiago?
I won't take a guess.
Alright, well, fair enough. Both these albums were picked by Matthew.
Woo!
I mean, obviously we've all heard Abbey Road before, but like, let's face it, normally when someone on here tends to pick like albums we've all heard before, they're like these like really big, like super, you know, ubiquitous albums. It does tend to be Matthew.
Yeah.
It's a mood.
Yeah. I usually pick what I like.
Bass.
I'm not like. I feel like Chris needs to do that because I think he picked "Destroyer" by Kiss, and he tortured us.
I tried to broaden my horizons. I tried to broaden all of our horizons, and I tried to find interesting things to talk about.
I guess.
It was
And I
torture.
was the most positive of that album, and I'm just like, why pick the albums you like? Respectful.
Alright, well that's it for today's episode. Thank you all for watching, everybody. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode and hearing our thoughts on both these albums. And once again, if you liked this video, I would encourage you to like and subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.